The government of Zambia and the family of former President Edgar Lungu will find out today if he can be laid to rest in South Africa or must be repatriated to his home country. The High Court in Pretoria will deliver judgment on Lungu's burial place in the next hour. Now, Lungu, who was president of Zambia between 2015 and 2021, passed away at a hospital in Pretoria back in June. His family wants him buried here in South Africa in a private ceremony, while the government of Zambia wants him buried at Embassy Park, Lusaka. Watching developments for us is SABC News senior reporter Kenny Mapanga, who joins us now live from inside court. And Kenny, it's a question of the Constitution, but I imagine what's also important for the Lungu family is finally just getting closure, given the fact that the former president has died now 2 months ago.
Indeed. Good morning to you, Ayanda, and to the viewers at home. We expect that at 11:30 a.m. this morning that this impasse between the Lungu family and the Zambian government will finally be brought to rest when that full bench of the most senior judges in the Gauteng division of the High Court in Pretoria, that includes the acting judge president, Obiwela Dwaba, will give a determination on the Zambian government's request for that final declarator, which would entitle them or give them the right to repatriate the remains of the former president to Zambia for the purposes of a state funeral and a burial. Remember that the main application was heard on Monday, where we saw arguments from the Zambian government bringing up the question of where the former president was domiciled. We saw them argue that he arrived in South Africa in January for the purposes of that medical intervention and unfortunately could not complete it as he had passed away before that time. Now, they've stated that he always had the intention to return back to Zambia and that he was domiciled there, and they have a right to bury him in accordance with the state funeral and the appropriate protocols. We've also seen them cling on to the Benefits Act that we've seen been bantered about in the media by the various parties. You know, the argument was that he was stripped of those presidential benefits in terms of the act for engaging in active politics following his term. We then saw the Zambian government come back to court arguing that when he passed away, that impediment fell away and that he became entitled to the state funeral. I don't know if they'll be able to sustain that argument, because if you read the Benefits Act, it doesn't accommodate such a reinstatement of such benefits once they have been taken away from the head of state for engaging in those active politics. We've seen the family state that the wishes of the deceased, and of course the widow of the former president, is for him to be buried here in South Africa. So the question really is, will the wishes of the family be respected or honored in this particular court, or should the wishes of the Zambian government and the best interests of the Zambian nation and its people prevail in this particular matter? We expect that at 11:30 a.m. the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria will give us direction regarding that. But another thing to add, Ayanda, is that when those arguments were made on Monday, as it continued to unfold, it appeared that the family really didn't have an issue with the former president being buried in Zambia, and there was only one impediment that came in the way in the form of the Zambian government's desires to have him buried there in Embassy Park in Lusaka, and that is the presence of the current president, Hichilema. We've seen that him presiding, which I think is a term that became quite ambiguous between the hearing over that burial, would serve as an impediment for the Zambian government in achieving or realizing those desires to have the former president buried there at Embassy Park. So you may be seeing an order which could deal with those complications, or could honor the family's wishes, and you see that the former head of state could be buried here in South Africa, or maybe the wishes of the Zambian government and the public interest of Zambia and its people may prevail. We'll see at 11:30 a.m. this morning when that judgment is delivered. Over to you in studio.
Yeah, it'll be interesting also for those who are interested in jurisprudence to see how this all unfolds. Kenny Mapanga is live to us from the High Court in Pretoria.